Tsogo Sun has announced very strong full-year results. Joining us live here at the JSE to unpack the numbers is Marcel from Aulock, who's the CEO of Tsogo Sun. And it is strong, 18%. In the last couple of days, Gugu and I have been talking to CEOs who've disappointed certainly disappointed the market. Double-digit growth now in this economy seems to be good going. In your sector would be excellent going, and yet you've almost got to 20%. We were talking the other day as well about the new brooms sweeping clean and maybe re-energizing the troops, and hospitality, of course, being very important to people businesses. Has there been much of an impact of that this time?
Look, we're very happy with the numbers, but it is in a tough environment. What's helped us in this year in particular was a lot of the acquisition activity that we did. We try and make sure every transaction we do is earnings enhancing immediately and not sort of based on a long-term future strategy that may or may not come through. And there was quite a bit of that kicked in. We bought out the minorities in the Suncoast Casino. We bought a hotel in Nigeria, was a lucrative buy for us, mainly because the funding cost is so low. And then in the core operations, casino win was slow at 5%, which is really the concern. It tells you that consumers under pressure.
Sorry, just explain that, unpack that.
So the amount we take in casinos, which is a big chunk of our business, it's sort of 60% of our revenue, only grew by 5%. And that's very akin to retail sales, etc. And that is a pure, we sell entertainment and leisure. It's a pure consumer play, and it tells you the consumer is under pressure. Where we managed to boost the revenues was our hotel income was up, largely through better mix and better pricing. And our food and beverage revenue is not a big number in our lives, but it was up 22%. So we focused on bringing restaurants in-house. We focused on using our assets better in the period, in a very difficult environment still. I mean, the consumer is not healthy at the moment.
So how many of the bottom-end consumers would go to the casino? We were talking earlier and saying, if I only had 1,000 Rand in my pocket, that's all I had, I might go and put it on red or black.
No, we find our market is middle-class South Africa, and I try and make it akin to, they're largely the same consumers that go to Woolworths. And they are, if you just look where our casinos are, we know from our database that 95% of our win comes from a 25-kilometre radius around our casino. So it's very much localized. It's based on the classic middle-class South Africa. The other example of that, why we don't, for example, have casinos in Africa, is precisely because there is no middle class. There's lots of people, there are lots of very wealthy and few very wealthy and lots of poor. And the poor have, quite honestly, bigger problems in life than worrying about casinos. So
maybe that draws us to the recent acquisitions that you did, as you mentioned, Sun International, the deals in the KZN as well as the Western Cape. But Pretoria is a very interesting one that Aulock alluded me to earlier on, with the Sun International wanting to move Marula to the Pretoria area, and that might potentially impact on Monte Casino.
Yeah,